Hey everybody, welcome back to War Budgies. As you can see on your screen, we have a bit of an unusual project for you today. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I love finding out of print and unusual things related to wargaming, and this is a great example. This is an action figure of Lord Commander Coleman Stryker from the Warmachine setting. See, we got his little Warcaster engine armor thing, we got a cape, we got a flag. It's a really fantastically ambitious idea. This came out as part of as far as I've been able to find, this was created by Southern Island. It was a company, they created this back in the beginning of 2006. They went bankrupt in 2007. So these things aren't really made anymore. The company's not around anymore. And we'll talk about the pieces as I go through because I'm simultaneously really impressed and kind of horrified with certain parts of this. So first warning before we get into it, this guy is an eBay rescue. I saw the listing on eBay, had no idea this action figure existed. And action figures aren't normally my thing, but I was like, that's a Coleman Stryker action figure, I have to get a hold of this. So he's had a rough life so far. He's got most of his pieces, which is more than I can say for a lot of things. So we're just gonna kind of walk through some of the details and figure out a plan for this guy. All right, we're gonna start with some of the simple stuff. So let's get him out of the way. So, alongside his accessories, he came with a fairly basic flagpole, set of fairly solid sandbags. The texture is actually molded, printed, whatever on there. So, it appears to have just been kind of roughly washed, maybe. I don't know, but I actually feel like these are probably going to paint up really well, given that they have the texture built into it. And then that's supposed to slot into there quite neatly. And then we get the Signar flag on top. The Signar flag, again, very fascinating kind of thing because we've got tassels on flexible plastic. We got the spearhead point there. The actual symbol kind of confused me because it looks almost like it's been sprayed on. It's kind of like hazy at the edges. If any of you guys are action figure aficionados or collectors, you probably already know a lot more about this than I do. I'm just looking at this from like a painting perspective. So we've got what looks like a very gloss wash that's kind of settled into the crevices there to give it shape. But overall, between the tassels and the flag and all that, these pieces, I'd have to say, are in pretty good shape. That's probably the wrong end. There we are. So that's going to go into there. That's going to go there. And then I've got this, this is an 80 millimeter proxy base from Zero Camp. Shout out to them. That I'm probably going to mount this guy on. But we'll talk about that later. So the flag, the standard, all that kind of stuff came out pretty well, all told. The sword has had some issues with it, but aside from the bend in it, which we're gonna have to figure out how to straighten that out. I don't know if that's gonna be a hot water thing or not. I don't know what kind of plastic this is. I've never tried it. But take a look at the details on this, because this is part of the stuff I'm impressed with. We have like a little dial there. We've got all the vents, and those aren't just like painted on. Those are sculpted into it. So I'm thinking a very careful strip of the paint on here will give us a pretty decent sword if I can get that bend out of the blade. I feel like his sword had a name, but I don't remember what it is. So any one of you Signar heathens who do not respect the word of Minoth, feel free to chime in with the name of his sword if you know what it is. He had a horse too, but I don't know his horse's name either. So let's get on to the guy. We'll start at the top. The facial sculpting is really impressive. And I mean, again, I don't see a lot of action figures up close, but I was immediately impressed with the detail in the face. You can see my camera's picking it up already. It's drawing the little box around his face. And the face, the eyes, the goggles, even the hair texture. Like this part of the model is immensely well done. And then we start moving south. So the texture on the armor, as you can see, this is just completely flat with some silver, just random marks there. We've got rivets that don't appear to be painted, so there. We do have these slots down in his armor. We got the holes here, so there's a lot of physical texture, but it seemed like there was a lot more care was given to the top, 5% of the model than the rest of it coming down. My favorite of which is this highlight right here, which is just sort of an offset chevron. Just kind of slapped on there. The back is pretty cool. These canisters, they haven't aged very well, but these all have appear to have a translucent resin or translucent plastic. So I did think briefly about putting some LEDs in there. The problem is the plastic is all cloudy now. These have been mostly painted over, and this is cloudy from what looks like glue. Someone used a bunch of glue nearby. But aside from that, a clean scrub, we'll see if that gets any better. If it does turn out to be all nice and pretty, then I might do an LED build on this. Let me know in the comments if you guys really want to see an LED build in here, or if you think that would be a giant pain, because I'm kind of two minds about it. I thought this was clever. We have these soft rotating cables that went into the back of his backpack and then clip into his arms. So when you pose him, or you've got some more flexibility when you pose him, you'll notice his arm's not moving much, and that's one of our problems. I don't think this was a manufacturing thing, but this arm was glued into place. So when I went to rotate it, it simply snapped off. And same is true of this one. His shoulder joint is completely locked. So I can do that. I can do this. I'm guessing that was probably from whoever had this previously, that they have glued the shoulders there. Hips move. Knees appear to move. Oh, that one doesn't. The pins holding it in have also popped out a little bit, so I'm going to do some gentle work on that. But essentially this lower leg is locked into place. This one is flexible at the knee, but not the foot. Hips work, elbows work. You'll notice he does appear to have two left hands, which I think is interesting. It's actually really interesting because I looked at pictures online, and that's not like a normal problem with this model. Like, they didn't just like only make left hands for him. I think this one just happened to get the short end of the stick. Ended up with the left hand. Wrist doesn't really rotate there. Aside from that, that arm goes there. Now, if you're thinking he looks a little weird like this, well, you are correct. We're missing one more piece, which is the piece I'm arguably the most impressed with, and that's the cape. So we'll turn that around real briefly. It is sort of monochromatic, but that's fine because it is a piece of cloth. You got the belt here, but it's flexible. It's actually very flexible. We even got it textured inside so that it can slip. Move your arm. You can't even move his arm, it's glued into place. So this actually fits around his waist and even clips in. Let's see once I get it situated correctly. There's a little stud and a hole, so that will clip into there, which actually really makes him look quite dramatic. I mentioned earlier he has most of his pieces. He should have a pistol that goes in there. The pistol was nowhere to be found, so I assume that was lost with the previous owner. So that is the action figure for Lord Commander Coleman Stryker. So now we got to figure out posing. My intent for this, guy, as you've probably already gathered from the conversation, is to get them all cleaned up, try to get some of those globs of paint off, smooth it out, fix the mold lines. And I don't think there's any fixing his articulation. Like I can break the arm off, or I can cut the arm off, but there's not going to be any returning him to a flexible model, which is fine with me. I'm just going to essentially make him into a single pose display piece. So we're going to get that out of the way. Maybe put him here. Sandbags, we can put one arm holding his banner. We can put the other one holding the sword in some sort of pose and all that. Feel free to chime in with your thoughts down below if you like. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to get to cleaning. I'm thinking some of these parts are going to need to be cut apart. This one's not too bad either. The wrist doesn't really rotate. Elbow's good. Still rotates here, so that's good news. So yeah, gonna play around with it a little bit. Start cleaning, very gently cleaning, so that I can prime him, repaint, and we'll see if we can bring him back to life, as it were. I realize it's not a funny joke because Coleman Stryker, the character, is dead, and I don't care because I'm a Minoth player. So goodbye, folks. Thanks for watching.